It's the top 5 dinosaur commanders.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Commander Countdown. This is the series where we poll the community on different commander topics and share those with you. Thanks to our sponsor, Architect and EDH Rec, we're first going to be going over our honorable mentions. So, Veggie, which dinosaur commander do you think should have been on the list but wasn't?
I'm going to cheat a little bit because I don't think anybody's playing this as their commander, but it deserves to be on this list. I'm going to say Karuga the Macro Sage. It's 3 and 2 Simic Hybrid mana for a 5/4. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card for each other permanent you control with cost 3 or greater. But it can also be your companion if your starting deck only contains cards that cost 3 or more.
Yeah, the companion's sort of like the command zone, right? It's going to be one of those extra cards that you can play from the side. So I feel like that's a fair cheat. In fact, we did do a companion episode where I actually got to shuffle this up, and it was a ton of fun. I got to recast it a bunch of times and draw a lot of cards, and I love drawing cards.
It's so much fun playing with companions, first of all, and this one's super interesting to build around because, like, theoretically not being able to do anything until turn 3 is real bad. But the sheer number of things that you can like channel or cycle or
adventure. That's the version I played.
Yes, adventure. That you can kind of cheat that deck building restriction to be able to still impact the game. Means this really is almost all upside.
And it's very fun. All right, moving on to Hamlet's honorable mention. I had to mention his favorite purple dinosaur. This is the only toy that lives longer than a day. And he loves them so much, I bought about 30 of them to make sure I always had them. And so this was the perfect episode for Hammy's honorable mention. But my honorable mention is Blue Loyal Raptor.
And then I read it. Mm-hmm. It's 2 green and a blue. Oh, I lied. There's a different commander in Hammy's command zone right now.
Okay, it's right now. It's an alligator. That's what you heard. Here you go, baby.
It's Nezahal. Blue Loyal Raptor is 2 green and a blue for 5/4. Partners with Owen, very important. And for each kind of counter on blue, each other dinosaur you control enters the battlefield with those counters.
So, spoiler alert, I got to play blue in one of our future games that is already recorded, and it is a blast to play. I had so much fun. I thought it was a pretty interesting way to play dinosaurs. It wasn't just big dumb idiots. It was getting to do some really, really fun stuff with counters. And I thought this was a blast. Yeah.
It's definitely a different approach because dinosaurs usually are just like, all right, I'm going to play like 3 big ones. Mm-hmm. And this one's like, oh, it rewards you for the wider that you go, which is hard to do. But it's a new angle for dinosaurs, which is interesting and the kind of thing I think I would play.
Yeah, it was a blast, honestly. But enough about us. Let's go ahead and move on to your guys' top 5. And coming in at number 5, we have
Illuna, Apex of Wishes. Good choice. 2 green, blue, red for a 6/6. You can also mutate it for 3, a hybrid 2 blue, flying trample. When this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent. Put that card onto the battlefield or into your hand.
I think this whole cycle of these mutate creatures were really fun. They do some really unique things. I like that the mutate mana restriction is a little less difficult, so it helps with your mana. Overall, I think this is a neat choice to be on the top 5. I'm a little surprised. I thought this wasn't going to be played all that much, but here we are.
Well, you see, these get played a lot more than you'd think because, like, at face value, it's just like, oh, okay, I can play it by itself, or I can like try and make a bigger version of it. Mm-hmm. But mutate is super weird and allows you to break a lot of things. This one in particular, it's not too hard to build a full deck without any permanents, without any non-land permanents except for the one that you want to hit.
So it's like those cheesy competitive Cascade decks is what you're trying to do here?
Yes.
Ugh,
and
like that.
On top of that, we just got a brand new build for doing this with Murders at Karlov Manor, because the Slime Against Humanity card is a non-land. I think it's the first non-land card that you can have any number of copies in. So I've seen some builds with this. I know, Hammy. I've seen some builds of this where it's a bunch of Slime Against Humanity and one Thrumming Stone as the only permanent that you can hit, which then allows you to play one Slime Against Humanity, instantly playing every single one in your entire deck.
I hate it.
It's great.
I hate those decks. I've only played against them in like Constructed, but then they flip them one at a time, knowing that there's only one thing they can hit, and they make you watch one at a time. And I'm just like, oh, so boring.
This is Commander. I'm flipping my entire deck over so you can see it.
You're just going to be like, look, this is what it is. You're not going to do it one at a time? Okay, that's fair. No shenanigans for me. Thank you, please.
Number 4 is from the same precon, Calamax the Stormsire. I think I'm lying about that. Yep, nope, it's just the same colors. They were not in the same precon. Aluna was in the main set. Oh, now I don't remember what number we're on.
4.
Number 4 is Calamax the Stormsire. 1, a green, a blue, and a red for a 4/4. Whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if Calamax is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose targets for the copy, and whenever you copy an instant spell, put a counter on Calamax.
Can confirm the first one was indeed from the main set. I drafted a lot of that. Yeah, Dinosaurs and Instant and Sorcerer, or Instance, is not two things that I would expect to go together. But he's like a lightning dinosaur. It's very cute.
This card is very specific in what it wants. It wants specifically instants, and it has to be tapped. So it's a really powerful ability, but you need to meet these like specific conditions for it to function.
Yeah, it's interesting because most of the other dinosaurs you have in like a dinosaur build, but this is certainly a little different than that. It just happens to be a dinosaur. And I feel like you can do a lot of cool different Spellslinger builds here without really needing or wanting other dinosaurs in the deck.
Yeah, I think it's likely going to be the only one, and the rest of your deck is filled with the biggest instants that you can find. And don't forget, it is each turn. So those instants that you're playing on your opponent's turn are also doubled if it's the first one. So that's a lot of copies per rotation.
But now we're going to move on to our number 3, and this one and the future ones also kind of feel a little bit more dinosaur themey. So let's go ahead and look at number 3.
Number 3, I disagree, but it's Atali Primal Conqueror, 5 and 2 red for a 7/7 trample. When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land. You can cast those cards for free, and then you can pay 9 and a green Phyrexian mana to transform it into an 11/11 that just kills people.
Yeah, you disagree that this is more dinosaur themey?
Yeah.
I just mean it's a 7/7 that costs 7. So you're going to have like this big, gruel, rampy deck. And those tend to have more dinosaurs anyway, like the other Atali. There's just other really good dinosaurs that you could put in here.
And see, that's where you people out there differ from very innocent. Well, I guess I would just ramp it and play this, and there would be other big things, and that would be a good time. Because I know what you all are doing with it, which is just ramping to it as fast as humanly possible, and then like blinking it and reanimating it. You're not playing any other dinosaurs in there. This thing is broken, and you're abusing that specific ability. You don't care about putting other creatures in.
I'm very basic.
It's like that's the heart of Commander. That's where Commander started, and now people are like, I'll play Atali on turn 1, and then I will trigger the ability 8 times, and I win.
I definitely have put this in decks, and it has been in just like my gruel big stuff deck. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to number 2.
Gishath, Sun's Avatar. Yeah, who would have guessed that this was going to be on the dinosaur list? It's 5, a red, a green, and a white for 7/6 vigilance, trample, haste. Whenever Gishath deals combat damage to a player, reveal that many cards from the top of your library and put any number of dinosaurs from them onto the battlefield.
It has haste, so you can like basically always do this. Someone will leave themselves open, and you just get to poop out more things.
It's like kind of a surprise because of the haste, but like not ever because it's in your command zone. But somebody, yes, inevitably is like, sorry guys, I gotta play some stuff this turn. And you're like, good. And like you're also like setting up for it. You're playing things that'll like give it double strike or, amplify the damage or things like that. So you just get a fat stack of dinos as soon as it comes in. And
this was featured on one of our shows. I believe it was piloted by Zebex. That was a fun episode. Dinosaurs are, a tricky thing because if you don't hit them, then it can fizzle out. But if you do hit them, they're all huge and massively impactful. So they get real scary real quick.
Yeah, that's your struggle with Gishath is how much ramp do you put in to actually get to cast this 8-mana spell versus how many dinosaurs do you need to put in to make sure that you hit a relevant amount when you actually attack with it.
So this one is more my commander style because it's a bunch of rampant dinosaurs. That's the baby version.
Yeah.
I'm just pure of heart.
I will say, I don't think I've ever seen a Gishath deck that was not specifically that. Like, I don't know if somebody out there is like innovating on Gishath or everybody's just happy with slam big dinosaurs, but that is about as dinosaur as you can get.
All right. The moment of truth. Number one.
It's Patlaza, sun favored, takes the number one spot because I'm sure if we had done this just a little while ago, it would have been Gishath by a mile. But Patlaza, 2, a red, a green, and a white for a 4/4. When it or another dinosaur enters the battlefield under your control, you discover X, where X is the creature's toughness, but you can only do it once per turn.
Is this a little recency bias? Like, I think it's good, but like, is it the number one dinosaur or is it just because it's the most recent dinosaur?
Personally, why did I say it so slow? Personally, I think this is the best one. I think people are right on this because the 3 mana difference between these is huge. Being able to play this at a reasonable point in the game without having to commit a ton of your deck to just ramp pieces and not worrying about having to like what your ratio of dinos to non-dinos is. Like this just keeps going until you hit something good.
Yeah. And plus saying Booty Cascade is really fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like we just want to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, and also that you can do different builds with this. You can focus on dinosaurs. You can focus on booties. Like what if you just did a bunch of things that pump up toughness? Then that's a different build from just like, oh, all right, I'm going to go for dinosaur synergy. It makes it to me much more interesting than Gishath by itself.
A booty build.
Right.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
These are not the colors I think of for booties because I was thinking if you wanted to build it that way, because like big butts that don't attack real well typically are pretty cheap. So you can cascade into them or discover into them very easily. But the things that allow them to like attack with their butts are not usually these colors, right? But like High Alert's Azorius, and then there's the other one that's a Golgari. Like most of the enablers are in those colors, right?
I mean, I think maybe you just have some different cards than I do in my mind. Almost all of mine are green and white, with the exception that I thought of being High Alert, which I think is much more white than it is blue.
And then the other one I'm thinking is like Gnarl Root or something. It's a Golgari 1/5 that you typically see in some butts. I don't know. I am not an expert, but those are the two that came to mind first, and they were not in these colors. So which one are you using to bump up your booties in this?
I mean, well, if you're fighting with butts, you have Huatli, you have Assault Barrage, something from Cons, I think. You have
Editing Veggie can find all these cards we're talking about.
Right. You have a bunch of the white things. What is it? Rolling Stones. It's like the OG. Typically, green and white have the best like boost your butts cards.
That's
like
fair.
Tower Defense and I don't know, a bunch of like plus to your toughness.
But boosting your butts doesn't help you attack with them. So you gotta find enough. I'm not convinced that that's a thing quite yet. But if you have a build for it, put it in the comments or share it with us in Discord because we want to see your butt. So much butts.
We got to be careful with that. So we are specifying that we would like to see the deck list for your deck that it focuses on toughness.
We want to see your butts. That is the end of our top 5 and honorable mentions. But thanks to our sponsors, Architect and EDH Rec, we have another segment. We're going to be going over a deck list submitted by one of our patrons that matches the theme of today's episode.
Our patron, the Twilight Sovereign, has submitted a list for Indoraptor, the perfect hybrid, which is a green-black hybrid and a red. It costs 3 mana for a 3/1 with Bloodthirst X, which means that when it enters the battlefield, you what? This creature enters the battlefield with X+1 counters on it, where X is the damage dealt to your opponents this turn. Menace, and then Enrage. When it is dealt damage, choose an opponent at random. It deals damage equal to its power to that player unless they sacrifice a non-token creature.
That does a lot. It's going to be hard to block. It's very cheap. I like this commander. I think this is really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of different like moving parts, but I think that for me makes the best commanders. So we'll see what they got in here.
Yeah, let's take a look at the build. Starting us off with some Anthem effects.
Oh, is this going to be goblins?
It looks like it is. Oh, I saw Goblin Chieftain and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah, like at first I was just thinking, okay, so it's pumping up your sub. No, it's just pumping up goblins. So I guess we're eating goblins and then like spitting them back out at people. This is fun because there's two trumpet blast effects too, with the ambitious assault and pack attack.
I mean, also it makes sense that the dinosaur comes into play with counters based on damage dealt, and what better way to deal really early chunky damage to someone and cast the dinosaur on 3 and 4 than goblins.
Yeah. Burn. Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't get to run Flame Rift often, but that is just efficient for a total of 12 damage to opponents.
So wait, how is the commander worded? Is it total damage to opponents?
Opponents, yes.
Oh, it adds it up. Oh my gosh, that's kind of gross.
Yeah. The Rakdos charm also really nice because that's specifically damage equal to number of creatures that you control to each player.
And then you play the...
Yeah.
Okay, this is gross, and I love it. I'm into it. This deck looks fun. Combo.
Also, like for those of you who are submitting decks, this does make it even more interesting when you categorize things like this, because I am intrigued. I understand that there are sacrifice combos with Murderous Redcap, but I don't think we've seen what they are yet. And having that in the Indoraptor, oh, never mind, it's right there. Okay, so if you have Murderous Redcap with Grumgully or Metallic Mimic or Rhythm of the Wild on board, then you can sacrifice it. It persists and comes back with a minus counter, but each of these just then puts a +1 counter on it, canceling it out, allowing you to sacrifice again.
This is really cool. I like this because I've played a lot of commanders that are like goblins, or a lot of goblin decks that are just, all red, modern, whatever. Legacy as well I have. So getting access to green in your goblin deck for like Grumgully and Rhythm of the Wilds. What a cool way of doing this. I've never played against something like this. This looks fun.
Yeah. Also, good job, Twilight Sovereign, for kind of distracting NerdGirl from the fact that that is an infinite combo and being like, oh, right, goblins and stuff. That's fun. Green.
I like goblins and stuff. I would probably not infinite combo anybody because A, I probably wouldn't see it, and B, I don't wanna.
Cute that the Dark Dweller Oracle kind of wraps everything you want to do all together. You're sacrificing your creatures. It is a goblin, and it helps you to impulse draw.
Owl Bear Shepherd is a green goblin with card draw. Oh my gosh. I love draft chaff in my commander games.
Right? These are well chosen. I approve.
Goblin Bugbear Den.
Yeah, that helps too.
If this list gets submitted as a patron sponsor list, I dibs it. I'm playing this.
We'll just do 4 copies of it because I would also play this, I think. I think the Shivan Gorge is very cute. It's an awful card, but like in this, you're like, okay, I get it.
So the goal is you're doing it and then you can cast the commander, right? So it's a minimum of 7, but you've probably already casted it at that point. So that's awfully expensive for what you're trying to do, but I understand.
It's still, it's cute. Shivan Gorge was part of the same cycle as Tolarian Academy.
Ramp, what do we got going on? Burbs. I like Burbs.
I like that you skipped over the thing that cancels all of my decks out. The Vexing Shusher, which is just, I'm in green and red. None of my stuff can be countered.
Ha! I love that. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Twilight. You're awesome. I'm going to play that now. How come you never put that in my green-red decks when you build for us?
Look, I'm not saying that there's a reason that it's suspiciously absent. You do get some goblins in here. The Anarchomancer, War Chief for reduction. Ignoble Hierarch is also a goblin.
It is a goblin.
Foot Bottom Feast, I think, is a fascinating name for a card in the year 2024, but there we are. People are weird.
It would never even have occurred to me, Veggie. Gosh.
Look, I'm also here to protect you.
You're not
You'd have been like, oh,
protecting.
wow, I like Foot Bottom Feast. Like, I wish I had more of that. You know what? I just something about it seems right to me. And I'd be like,
You're the worst.
but removal says 8, and I don't like that number, but we'll see.
Sometimes goblins, I didn't take a super close look, but like there are goblins that blow up other goblins to remove things. That's an option.
Kindred Dominant is very powerful here since you're wiping out everything. Although you would have to choose between your commander and the goblins that you've put out because you only choose one creature type to save. Oh, Pyrohemia, and Pestilence. So both copies of that effect there's a little dissonance there because they hit your own goblins, but I guess you sack them all to Goblin Bombardment first.
Yeah. Oh, here's all the goblin. Here's the meat.
Yes.
Goblin meat.
Literally the meat.
The gob of goblins.
Feeding them all to the Indoraptor.
Hey, on Tuesday, you guys are watching this on Friday. On Tuesday, we have a goblin episode with Jim Davis. You guys should come back and check it out. I had to think about what day it was. Yeah, see, Krenko seems so boring now. Shh, get out of here, Krenko. we like gruel goblins now.
And then tutors, because goblins can do that too.
Yeah, we love us a goblin matron.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice because you sometimes you get black with a few of the commanders, but not often. And there is a goblin tutor in black.
All right, Veggie, on the Veggie scale, built as is, what do you rate this? 1 to 10. Flavor, power, Veggie's happiness.
I mean, I think it's funny that you mentioned flavor because it's very flavorful, specifically that you're eating all of your goblins. So flavorful, literally. Although they probably don't taste too good.
I bet you they taste like chicken.
Not good chicken.
Nom, 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 nom.
A weird off angle for this dinosaur commander. You have a sub goblin theme. You have a lot of really good card choices that surprisingly work well for everything that you're trying to do, whether it's the goblins or the sacrifice or dealing damage to all of your opponents. I feel like all of these things come together very well. And I think it's right around the power level that I want. I think I'm going to give my first 10 out of 10 for this. I saw all cards that made me very happy. I think it's a type of deck that I have not seen before. And I think it would be a lot of fun.
All right. The Nerd Girl scale. So I do like goblins. I think that this is a really cool, different take on goblins. Getting access to the green and the black goblins seems really fun. I've seen goblins splash black in like competitive stuff, but this is a whole new take on it. I love the idea that you're getting access to some top end with your big dinosaur because of all the work the goblins are putting in. I'm also going to give this a really high score. I'm going to give this a 9. I think this is overall our highest rated deck that we've had on the show so far.
Yes, I think our patrons are figuring out like that sweet spot of what we enjoy, because we've certainly had like lots of very good decks, but like this is right in that range of like this is the kind of Magic that I want to be playing.
Same. Yeah, we've also had a couple where most of the deck lists are for me or for you, not personally, but like, it appeals to one of us. Mm-hmm. This one is very much the both, which is interesting. We found where our two play types cross paths. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at EDH Rec and just see what sort of recommendations that we might find that might be different than what we have got going on here. And looking here at the themes, we have Dragon's Approach, Dinosaurs, Fight, Burn, Group Slug, no Goblins.
Yeah. Also, I am surprised because I feel like I rarely see Dragon's Approach as the first theme for anything.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense because the card just deals 3 damage to each opponent.
It's probably the cheapest, most efficient way to get this thing huge really quick.
I guess. It's just like that's a niche theme. I'm surprised that it's number 1. None of these I think are particularly good for this. Like the Barb Servitor doesn't even work because it's loss of life and not damage.
It's not a goblin. Out. That's the thing. I don't know if we're going to see anything we like here because this is all going to be built around. These build arounds are all the classic way you would build this commander, not the goblin way.
Yeah.
So we're really not interested in any of this stuff.
Well, I guess Pyrohemia and Pestilence though override that because they are just they are just good for this since you're dealing damage to everything.
The Atarka's Command was in the deck as well.
I don't think we saw Chandra's Ignition, which I think I would run in this just because, like, if you're going to be making a giant dinosaur, you might as well also have it explode and win the game for you.
Zerta, was that in the deck? Because I feel like that's perfect. It's not a goblin, but I'll give it that. It ramps you, helps you cast it the second time, and just gets in a little extra oomph. I love it.
Ramp. We saw Rhythm of the Wild and some of these other things.
Return to the Wild Speaker. That is not going to be as good because our goblins are smaller. You have to have the commander out, which means I'm probably not wanting to play this. I don't think I saw Heroic Intervention.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
But that's okay. It's one of those like semi-expensive staple-y cards that I like not seeing in every deck. So
in the Twilight Sovereigns build, it's not even that important because you have sack outlets. You're like, great, do you want to wipe the board? I will sacrifice all of my goblins and deal massive damage. Yeah, I know you're not a fan, but Brash Taunter, it does seem like fun to me here, and it works unlike the new black version since it's still damage.
Bad. Hate Brash Taunter. Worst card ever.
I know where my head should have been at, which was Heartless Hidetsugo. This is probably the other. If I wasn't playing this with goblins, that is the angle that I would want. I love that card.
What the heck?
Yeah.
To each player, that's cute.
Like, is it overkill? Most certainly. Your Indoraptor is too big at that point, and you've hurt yourself. But like that's very funny to me.
I like that it doesn't cost mana to activate, so it helps with the Raptor's like second and third cost, unlike some of those other like the lands and stuff that we're talking about. So that's a neat way to get in some extra oomph as well.
All right, right. We didn't see a lot of like removal specifically, so maybe some of these I would be more interested in.
A lot of these might not be super great just because they're built around dinosaur removal. So like the tail swipe and stuff, not super relevant to goblins. And our commander starts as a 3/1, so he's not the biggest booty himself either.
Right, and I think typically you want your removal to work all of the time, not just when your commander is out. I mean, like Assassin's Trophy seems like a good ad.
Not a lot here, honestly, in the list that I'm in love with.
I'm with you. I guess people are generally, just like, screw it. I'll just go through it instead of...
Player removal is removal. Let's take a look at enchantments.
Oh, okay. This I think, I'm 100% on putting Descent into Avernus into it. I think it's a great card. It's already, I'm jamming it in most of my decks with red because I think it makes for interesting commander games. But it's also doing exactly what you want. It's hitting all players for damage more and more and more. So the later the game goes on, the bigger Indoraptor is, and it's helping you to pay for it with all the treasures.
Yeah, it's going to make the game go really, really fast and make your dinosaur very large very quickly. I want to know if there are Chandras that deal damage. So I think Torch Defiance is the one that I was thinking. Yeah, the +1 on that, dealing 2 to each player. That seems pretty good. And she's only 4. Oh,
okay. The Domri, I was like, I don't think this synergizes terribly well. It doesn't. It's just a decent Planeswalker. Minx and Boo, though, lets you throw your Indoraptor at people.
Or just let you throw the Boo, the bigger Boo, and then play the Indoraptor. But I'm really excited to get to throw the Indoraptor and then recast it. All right, I think that wraps up our deck tech. Did you see anything, Veggie, that you want to add here? Because I'm not really seeing it, because I'm not really willing to leave behind the goblin synergies.
The two that I would add, and I think this is it, would be Descent into Avernus for sure, because it synergizes really well with everything, and I don't think it takes away from your goblin synergy, and Heartless Hidetsugo, because that is very funny to me.
I'm really glad that you didn't say Brash Taunter, because I thought we were going to have to not be friends anymore.
It's a goblin.
It is a goblin, but he's evil. That's it for our Commander Countdown. If you guys would like to see your deck featured on the show, make sure you guys check out our Patreon. You can unlock other exclusive perks like spell table games, submit your deck for us to check out here, or to even play on Decked Out. And that's it for us. Thanks to our sponsors, EDH Rec and Architect.
Yes, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah, that's important. It actually is very important, everybody. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a whole lot, especially when I remember to say it.
All right. See you next time on... God damn. Okay. All right. We'll see you next time on Commander Countdown.